Hey, hello. This video is going to cover it's in the system study guide number 8 and number 13. So in number 8, we are asked to take these two equations and to graph them to solve the system. So the first thing we must do is remember with graphing, we really want to get our equations into the slope-intercept form because it's the easiest to graph in. So we need a y equals statement. So in this case, we need to get y by itself. So if I go ahead and solve this equation for y, so I'm going to move everything away. I'm going to start with moving the 2x, so minus 2x on both sides. That will cancel. Bring down what you have left on both sides. And now look, I'm going to put this negative 2x here because that's going to be my slope here. I can't combine the 7 and the minus 2x because they're not like terms. I don't care what a negative y is, I want to know what y is. So really there's a negative 1 in front. To get rid of that, I'm going to divide by negative 1 on both sides. Negative 1 divided by negative 1 is just going to be 1. So on this side I have y. A negative 2 divided by a negative 1 is a positive 2x. 7 divided by negative 1 is going to be a negative 7. So I'm going to go ahead and graph this. M equals B equals. So B is going to be my negative 7. M is in front of my x term, which in this case is 2. Remember, I prefer slope to be a fraction. So 2 is really the same as 2 over 1. So B is where I begin. I'm going to begin at the y-intercept at negative 7, and my slope is a positive 2 over 1. So I'm going to go rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. Rise 2, run 1. Okay, and we can keep going and going. But here is that equation graphed. My second equation, again, I need to get a y equals statement, so I'm going to rearrange. Move that 3x. 3x will cancel. I have 2y equals, not like terms, so I'm just going to bring down my negative 3x plus my 14. Almost there, I got to divide by 2. Divide by 2. Y equals negative 3 over 2x. I'm going to keep this as a fraction because remember that's my slope. And then 14 divided by 2 gives me a positive 7. M equals B equals. M is going to be my negative 3 over 2. So remember, a negative slope is going to look something like that, right? It's going to go down from left to right. B is a positive 7. So let's go ahead and graph that. B is a positive 7 in this case. And then I'm going to go down 3 over 2. Down 3 over 2. And right here is where they intersect. So my solution, 1, 2, 3, 4, comma, 1. And even if I wanted to check my work, I could plug that solution, my x is 4, my y is 1, into this equation and this equation, or you could even use your y equal equations, and you should get the correct answer. All right, the next question we're going to go over is number 13, the word problem. So instead of writing out the whole thing, I just took some important information out of it. We know it's $1.50 for children, $4 for adults. We know that we have 2,200 people enter, and we have collected $5,050. So C is going to equal children, A is going to equal adults. So the first thing we're asked to do in letter A is to write a system. So we need two different equations that represents this question. So the first, let's work with my 2,200 people entering this. So I know that the children plus the amount of adults equals 2,200, right? That's my total. Second one, I'm going to work with this money. So anything dealing with money, I'm going to write an equation with. Well, I know that children are $1.50. I'm just going to come down here and write this. So $1.50 C. My adults are $4. so the money I make from the adult sales, if I add the children's sales plus the adult sales, that equals $5,050. Okay? So here are my two equations. So together these two make a system. The second thing I'm asked to do is to solve this system. So I want to figure out, okay, knowing this information, how many children, how many adults are there? The easiest way to do this is probably to get a y equals statement. So you're probably saying, well, there's no y in this problem. We can either pick to solve this equation to get a c equals statement or an a equals statement. And it doesn't matter which one we use. I'm just going to use the a. So I'm going to solve for a in both equations. So let's rearrange this equation to get a by itself. So I'm going to subtract c. So I have a equals negative c plus 2,200. So that was easy. There's an a equals statement. So this equation turned into this. Now we're going to take the second equation. I'm also going to make an a equals statement. So we're going to solve for a. Subtract 150c to both sides. Bring down what we have left. We have a negative 150c plus 5,050. Almost there. We got to divide by 4, divide by 4. Okay, so I get a to equal. I'm going to take this. I could either leave it a fraction or turn it into a decimal. Because I'm not graphing this, I'm actually going to turn it into a decimal. So negative 1.50 divided by 4 is going to give me a negative 0.375c. Doing the same thing, we're going to take this 50/50 divided by 4, and you're going to get 1,262.5. Right? So there's my rearranged a statement. So I have an a equals and an a equals. Okay. Now that we have this, we're going to solve this system, and in this case I'd probably use substitution. So a equals a, and we talked about that in class with y equals y. Well, it's the same thing, a equals a. So I'm going to take my a equals statement here. So a I'm going to replace with negative c plus 2,200. Okay. That was my first a equals statement. My second a equals statement I'm going to write on the other side. So negative 0.375 c plus 1,262.5. All right, so now I have this big long equation that I'm going to solve. Notice what I have left are my c terms. So I'm going to really solve for c in this case. So my equation, I'm going to get my c's together. So I'm going to move this c, and I'm going to add 0.375c on both sides. Okay, so this is really a negative 1c plus 0.375c, which is going to give me a negative 0.625c. Bring down what we have left equals, this is canceling, I'm given, and bringing down what's left. Okay, so now I have my c's on one side. I got to get my normal looking numbers together. So I'm going to move this 2,200, subtract 2,200, bring down what we have left, negative 0.625c. equals, if we do this, we get a negative 937 decimal points right there, 0.5. Okay. Last step, get c by itself, divide by negative 0.625, divide by negative 0.625. C then equals, if I take these and divide it, I get the children to equal 1,500. So I just solved all that work to find out that there were 1,500 children. Now I have to plug that back in to figure out how many adults, right? Now how many children, how many adults. I can use any of these equations. I could use this equation. I could use the A equals statement. I could use this one. I could use this one.